Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kayla and I have been teaching theater going on 8 years. So today's video is going to be like my approach on how I lesson plan, how I run my classroom, and give you some of the resources that I've used that has helped me develop my program, like I said, my lessons, etc. This type of video might be ideal for someone who is just getting started in teaching theater, maybe a new theater teacher, or someone maybe who's been doing theater like within the community, but now they're heading into the classroom for the first time, so they have some theater background. So this is just going to be a general video for that type of information, and I hope you find it helpful. So as far as my background goes, like I said, I have been teaching theater for 8 years. I am certified with my Bachelor's of Arts in Theater Education, and I got that through my undergrad. I can make a totally separate video on how you can become a theater teacher, because I think that the information I'm giving today is going to be enough just to get you started if you already are certified. So I can make another video on how to become certified and my journey in becoming certified. My certification is P through 12, so I can teach preschool through 12th grade, and I have taught elementary for 2 years, but otherwise I've been teaching high school. I did receive a couple of questions from one of my new subscribers. She's looking to become a theater teacher soon, and she's been doing theater for many years, but now she's ready to head into the classrooms. Okay, so your state that you are going to teach in or already are teaching in, they are going to have their own arts standards. I teach in Kentucky, and we have our own art standards, but I'm going to be real with you, I do not use them. I use the National Arts Standards, National Core Arts Standards. And the website that you can find that is nationalartsstandards.org. So that's going to be the basis for creating your lessons. The standards are creating, performing, responding, and connecting. And that's the standards I use to base everything that I do with these students. So that's going to be your starting point, and they have that for all grade levels. Okay, so her question was, how do you choose, and she had DM'd me on Instagram too for some more specific questions so I could get some more clarification on what she was wanting. So one of her questions was how to choose plays and exercises that you are using in the classroom. Basically, what that comes down to is I look at a couple of different websites, and I'm about to list them, and I just read through ones that's going to fit me and my teaching style and my students and their learning styles, and maybe even their demographics. What is going to work for them, and what can I expose them to that they're not going to be exposed to in their day-to-day life. If you go to theaterfolk.com, that's going to be a great starting point for you for a lot of free resources, a lot of printables, a lot of digital downloads for free exercises you can use in the classroom, monologues that are student-friendly, A-B scenes, little mini plays. And a lot of those are going to be free or extremely cheap for you to buy. And I think they're from Canada. They're a really nice theater group on the internet and just in the theater community. And I have found a lot of great resources on there specifically for distant learning or online learning throughout the times that we're in. The next website that I use a lot is called schooltheater.org. Now, you may have to become a member in order to access all of the resources on schooltheater.org, but they do have some free things, or you may just have to make an account. So I definitely have access to all of the things on schooltheater.org. You can get PD credit on there. It's really hard for us theater teachers to find PD credit that pertains to just us because we are such a specialty area, but you can get online PD credit there. Again, you might have to make it, you definitely will have to make an account, but I have a subscription to access all of that through having a Thespian's troupe at my school, and we pay a yearly membership. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Another website that I use for choosing plays for competition, or just really cool different plays to use in the classroom that aren't overdone, is offthewallplays.com. This is some obscure back alley like website I found researching for a competition play once, and I actually did end up using one of the plays off of there for a competition, and my students and I really enjoyed that time. So they've got short plays. It's not these famous playwrights, but they are published plays with playwrights who have had their plays published. So check them out if you're looking for kind of edgy, obscure, maybe pushing the bound, like my style is, I don't like this frilly, like I'm not in that frilly magical lollipop rainbows. I like theater that makes people think, that challenges them, that makes them become more empathetic, sympathetic, that makes you walk in someone else's shoes so that you may be a kinder person. And I feel like offthewallplays.com, they've got some really almost experimental, edgy, sometimes dark. That's my kind of thing. So offthewallplays.com is a hidden gem for sure. And of course you have your, well-known published plays websites you could go to for one acts, classroom work, full-on plays, dramatists, Samuel French, play scripts, Hewer Publishing, the list goes on. And then some advice I could give you from when you were looking up stuff. You want to avoid monologue books. And when I say that, I don't mean monologue books that have monologues in them from published plays. A lot, and you'll find this on Amazon and some websites, a lot of people will write monologues, just monologues, and then they'll put them in a book. They've never been in a play. Like, these monologues are not from a published play. They are just people who have written a monologue. And that's fine for classroom work. That's not how I like to do things. I like to do things with monologues from an actual published play, so the student has the opportunity to read the whole play and understand that character in the fullest potential. Also, if you're planning on doing competition, you cannot use those monologues in a competition setting because they're not from a published play. So just be on the lookout, avoid those, do your research. Okay, I'm gonna go eat some lunch and then I'll be back. Okay, so the next question she asked me, I believe her name is Felicia, is how do you manage your time between sitting time? Like how long are the students sitting to learn like content, like vocabulary or history, etc.? And then stage time or up and movement time. So I personally have taught, every time I've taught high school, I've had both a classroom and a stage that I could teach in either space. And then when I taught elementary, I had just the classroom, and then we were able to use the stage in the gym for productions. But anyway, so I would say for me personally, and each theater teacher is different. Again, you got to find what works for you, in your style and your needs and those needs of the students. But I don't spend a lot of time in the classroom at all. I spend most of my time teaching on stage in the auditorium. The students are always up moving around. They love it. They have to sit for all their other classes, so they get really excited when they come to my class. Even if, they don't want to grow up and become a professional actor, at least they get up and they get moving around, and it's a very fun atmosphere for them. So I would say I teach most of my lessons, most of my units and content in the auditorium on the stage, and I'm very lucky to have that. The only time that we are ever in the classroom sitting is, okay, I do teach technical theater. I'm really not going to go into technical theater in this video, but we do sit a lot in the classroom for that, for like learning about design purposes and stuff. But as far as like the acting, which I think most of you are probably here for, if you're viewing this video, the only time I sit in the classroom with them is when we do our improv unit in the beginning, right? To teach them, and when I teach improv in the classroom, I teach it in the competitive style. I do have a competitive speech and debate background in my earlier years of teaching, and so I teach improv competitive style. So, the 6-minute time limit, the 2 people, you're only allowed to 2 chairs and a table, and the reason I teach it that way is because it creates a strong foundation for improv, so people aren't just doing such nonsensical things that it's just hard to watch or not entertaining or makes no sense. This way it has structure to it. So teaching improv, in the beginning, we start in the classroom so I can teach them the rules of improv, how to structure it, how to use that prep time, that little bit of prep time that you get with improv, and they have to build that foundation in order to put it to use. So we do take notes and do some little examples here and there in the classroom before we take it to the stage. Another unit that I teach where they do sit a lot in the classroom is playwriting. We review plotline structure, diving into how to develop those characters and how to write a well-written play that an audience would enjoy. So that takes place in front of the Chromebooks in the classroom while we're planning it. And then of course, once we move to the rehearsal stage where they actually get to rehearse and perform the play that they wrote with their group, that takes place in the auditorium. And then I would say the last main lesson that we spend a fair amount of time in the classroom with is character development as far as the background goes, right? Like discovering what happened in a character's past to make them who they are now, and just diving in deep there. And we do some like character worksheets and stuff like that to help them organize their thoughts. So that takes place in the classroom, and then of course we move it to the auditorium once that character is well developed. Otherwise, we're in there on the stage doing physical characterization, vocal characterization, putting that all together. We do A/B scenes. Of course, we perform the plays that they've written. I teach them the stage directions, the parts of the stage, by doing a game called Director Says, which is like Simon Says, but it's Director Says. And it's learning downstage, upstage, stage right, stage left, center stage. With that though, I do spend a portion of that lesson in the classroom where I draw the stage on the board and divide it into parts so they can visually see, right? How to label that too. So when they translate that and connecting, right? They translate that into their blocking later on down the line, they can put EN, enter, USL, upstage left. So seeing like how to code that too for future. I hope that wasn't all over the place. But yeah, director says, you have everybody on stage. Director says, cross to downstage left. And they should all move downstage left. And if they don't, they're out. It's kind of fun. Let's move on to competition and festivals. Specifically, if you teach high school or middle school theater, or you're going to, you might have some festivals or competitions that you could take your students to or enter them in. That'll look a bit different this year in the year of 2020 due to everything going on, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I've taken my students to competition every year when I as a high school teacher, and ours is called KTA. It stands for Kentucky Theater Association. Your state has its own, but basically that's tied into SETC, which is the Southeastern Theater Conference. So your state will offer a regional competition, then a state competition, and then the state winners, of course, will go to SETC, which is the national competition. And that is going to be a 1-act, 45-minute or less play. Then you have Thespian Festival, which is put on by ITF, International Thespian Society, or ITS, International Thespian Society, and ITF is an International Thespian Festival, which is also like a nationals competition too. So you'll have one for your state. In order to do that, you need to establish a thespians troupe through your state, and you can figure out how to do that on schooltheater.org. At our state festival, students can take a play. So whatever play we usually do for KTA, our state or regional competition, we'll take to thespians too, because they're usually around the same time. So you can take a play, you can pay to get it adjudicated. You could also pay to enter for it to be sent to nationals. We never do any of that with nationals because it's thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars, and my school is a Title I school. We don't have that money. My students don't have that money. But it's fun enough just to go to our state festival. So they could also enter in individual events, which is like monologues, musical theater, costume design, different technical aspects, and then they can meet with colleges there and audition for college scholarships, which is awesome. So I would look into that if you're teaching both middle school and high school. Look into doing thespians or picking up a thespians troupe. If you're coming into a school as their new theater teacher in a well-established program, they might already have that. And I actually have a video for teachers who are transferring to a new school to teach theater. So you've already been teaching theater, you're transferring into a new job at a new school, or it's new to you, and it already has a well-established theater program. I have a complete video just for that. It's very specific, I know, but recently it's been getting some views. So that means somebody out there's wanting that information. So classes I have taught. As a high school teacher, I have taught the following classes: technical theater, VPA, which stands for visual and performing arts. That is mostly for my students who need their humanities credits to graduate, and they've not had it's only for seniors. They've not had their humanities credits yet, and this one will cover it all. We do music, theater, dance, and visual art. So that is really cool. It's a really cool crowd of students that come in there experiencing the arts for the first time. I teach advanced theater, intro to theater, of course. I've taught play production, where in the fall semester, we choose a play, and that whole class does all the acting, the technical elements, and everything, and we have a big production for it. And then in the spring, that would switch to musical theater production, where we choose a musical and we build it from the ground up and have a showcase for it. And then at one of my older schools, I taught a class called musical theater and dance, and that was really, really cool. And then, of course, I've taught elementary. That was K through 5. I was their drama specials teacher, and that was really cool. I would teach whatever was appropriate to that grade level, okay? So kindergarten, it was, all about how to change your body and voice to communicate different characteristics, and oh my gosh, they were so cute, so cute. And then I would direct 2 plays a year, one musical for the 4th grade and then one musical for the 5th grade. Okay, so when I'm filming this, we are in July of 2020. My particular school that I'm teaching at has decided to do online classes for the fall, because of what's going on in the world. So when all of this happened in the spring, we did NTI in the spring, which is non-traditional instruction, which is online, and I used Google Classroom. Google Classroom, if you are starting up teaching this year and your school is allowing you to use whatever online platform you want, Google Classroom is very user-friendly, very student-friendly. I really enjoyed it. Now we're moving to Canvas in the fall. All the teachers who use Canvas love it because it connects very nicely with Infinite Campus, which, if you don't know what Infinite Campus is, I think most schools across the United States use it. Basically, it's where you put your grades in for your students, and all of your rosters and everything's over there. So I've been doing Canvas trainings this summer. I will say so far it is not as user-friendly as Google Classroom. I'm not used to Canvas yet. It's a ton of work front loading. It almost reminds me of back in the day, if you're a millennial like me, putting your MySpace page together with these like coding in different boxes and the HTML and so yeah, that is a lot to get used to. I'm trying my best to make it work. I think the more I use it, the better it'll get. But if I might change my mind months later after if I rewatch this video, and I might say Google Classroom, nah, use Canvas. Canvas is better. But I'm telling you right now, from where I am currently, Google Classroom was very easy to pick up and very user-friendly for both teacher and student. Canvas, where I am right now in July of 2020, oh, that's a whole journey, guys. Oh, okay, I think that about wraps up the information that I want to talk to you about today. Moving forward, I can do a separate video on how I became a certified teacher, how you might be able to become a certified teacher, if that's what you want to do. And then if you want me to make an even separate video on teaching theater online. Before I go, I want to let you know, like, I am not the genius theater expert teacher of all time. I've only been teaching 8 years. This is what works for me. There are definitely these fancy high society people who've been in the game for 30 years, who wear the beautiful scarves, and there's other people out there who know way more about the stuff that I do, but I'm just letting you know this is how I do things, and I hope that it's helpful. At the end of the day, you got to do what works for you. Don't feel like you have to do everything that I do. Don't feel like you have to do everything that the sophisticated woman wearing the scarf with the cute pixie haircut and the aristocracy voice. Don't feel like you have to do like everything that she does, because you just got to do with what's right with you. You got to do what works for you. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and let me know how I can help you in the comments below. Again, I don't always have all the answers, but I am happy to help and give you resources and find an answer if I don't know it. So thank you, and have a wonderful school year. If you're watching this in 2020, I feel ya. Have a good one.